on to a pretty significant amount of warmth today, so you'll see pockets of a wintry mix. For the rest of us, though, it's just snow in the Tennessee Valley. Our 31 alert day in effect as we speak. That's expiring today at 10 o'clock in the morning. Now, I could expire that around 8 a.m., but I'm leaving those extra 2 hours for the road conditions. We're going to be done with any of that wintry precip by about 8 at the latest. Take a look at the WAAY 31 Skycam network powered by Thompson Roofing and Construction. Whether it's Muscle Shoals or the roads in Decatur or a great view outside the Space and Rocket Center in Huntsville, we're definitely seeing that snowfall. It's accumulating on the grass, not seeing a ton of accumulation on the roads. The roads are warm. They were pre-treated. Massive shout out on that one. That's helping us out significantly. So we're seeing slick spots. It almost looks like after it rains, what we're not seeing is widespread accumulation on those roads. Snow totals holding true. The highest amount in the Shoals, anywhere from 2 to 3 inches. The rest of us sitting at 1 inch or less. But of course, that is still accumulating east of the corridor. By 6 a.m., the Shoals is pretty much dry from that snow. By 8 a.m., we're all done with the snow. I'm back in a couple minutes with more on how this is going to impact your roads the rest of the day and some of the other impacts that you can expect.
Let's take a look at your Best Way traffic map. Right now, there are already several crashes to tell you about. We've got one in Decatur, Hudson Memorial Bridge headed north. That crash causing big slowdowns already. Look at that in both directions. In Madison County, I-565 east at Highway 20. We have a crash there we're keeping an eye on. Lawrence County, Highway 101 south at County Road 411, a crash there. One more thing to tell you about. I believe we have another crash that we're trying to get details on as well. This one's in Higdon. Grace helping me out get that information for me, so I'm pausing here for just a moment.
This is on Alabama 73 and 71.
Highway 73 and 71. Be careful in those areas. I want to tell you also right now, Bankhead Parkway in Huntsville, no surprise because of this snow, is closed. It's the stretch of Bankhead, specifically though between Gate Road and Fern Street. You will not be able to travel on Bankhead right now. It always gets treacherous, so do take this one seriously.
And several school systems across North Alabama, even southern Tennessee, either closed or opening late today because of the snow.
And also some of those schools are offering virtual learning today. We've got that full list of closures and late openings on our website, WAAYTV.com, and also that list of schools that are going virtual for today.
And we've been warning you all morning about slick roads, and the Alabama Department of Transportation, they spent the day preparing for the snow yesterday. As crews were out pre-treating the roads, they hit major highways, bridges, even overpasses. Some areas are expected to see more snow than others, but crews don't think this will be anything like we saw last month.
Maybe some areas, particularly closer to the Tennessee line, where we're going to see higher snowfall totals, and there may be some plowing going on there, but largely we think it's probably going to be, treating trouble spots.
And they will monitor the roads for black ice as those temperatures start to drop. And there's a steady snowfall that's happening right now in Huntsville.
And WAAY 31's Jim Abbott live right now in our WAAY 31 storm tracker, keeping a close eye on those conditions. So Jim, what are you seeing out there at 5:30?
Yeah, good morning. Things are a lot better than we actually expected out here on the roads. We've driven now down Memorial Parkway, gone over the Tennessee River Bridge, gone down toward Lacey Spring and come back up. A lot of the roads there not so bad. The Memorial Parkway wasn't, except for going over the overpass, going northbound right at Clinton. There's going to be a lot of traffic there, obviously, as people head to 565 east and the west of the interchange there. That was the slickest spot that we found. Let me show you right now where we are. We are on 565 east, just coming up on Greenbrier right now. All three lanes here as traffic is starting to pick up, actually in pretty good shape. It was westbound as we were coming out. We just went over the Tennessee River Bridge on I-65, and that one was fine. But some of the lanes westbound on 565 had a little more accumulation on them. Saw a couple people who were going way too fast. I mean, they must be going at least 70 miles an hour, so please don't do that on the roads. All it takes is one to cause some problems there. But most of the snow that we see sticking are actually between the lanes. The lanes themselves are not too bad. Naturally, again, we're looking at overpasses and bridges, and we have found that, as you start to go over that, you find that it gets a little bit slicker. Heading out on the roads, just be careful out there and make sure, again, keep an eye on those overpasses and bridges, slow down a little bit, and you should be fine. Guys?
Great tips right there. Well, Jim, I'm going to ask you really quick because Chris did mention that there is one road closure that we know of at this point. As you've been driving around, have you seen any barricades up? Have you noticed that any of those other slick spots that we typically know about, have you noticed any of those closed?
Mostly just going on the Parkway and 565 and then down on 65. So haven't seen any of that right now. Keeping an eye out again for any overpasses, bridges, and the like where they might put those up. But as far as what we've seen, haven't seen any roads that are blocked off right now, but we'll keep an eye out for that. Again, pleasantly surprised that a lot of the roads really are fairly wet but not slick. Just again, I can't say it enough, there's overpasses and bridges. Make sure you slow down, keep two hands on the wheel. And right now, fingers crossed, you should be fine.
Good tips right there.
Fingers crossed.
Thank you so much, Jim. Well, Madison County emergency managers say they are keeping a close eye on the roads here in Huntsville as both HIMSI and the city's Public Works Department are standing by.
We're not anticipating it to be as bad as January. Like I said, the temperatures have been higher recently, and that warms up the ground. And so, consequently, anything that does fall might not stick around.
EMA leaders say that any road closures will be posted online. And today's snow is bringing with it some bitter cold temperatures that's expected to last a few days.
In fact, I believe I heard Grace say a little bit ago it's going to feel like 3 degrees around 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. Well, no surprise, that has first responders reminding everybody beware of frostbite. Now, they say frostbite can happen quickly, especially to fingers and toes. They say if you feel any numbness in your fingers or toes, or if they start to change color, get inside quickly. Also, several Huntsville agencies right now opening warming centers this week to make sure everybody has a warm place to ride out that bitter cold. You can see the list of warming centers and their addresses on your screen right there. By the way, Huntsville Transit and Huntsville Police stand ready to give free rides to people who need them to those warming centers.
Well, now let's go ahead and take a look at some conditions out there in the Shoals. We know that WAAY 31's Paige Meyer is standing by. Good morning.
Paige.
Good morning, Chris and Dimitri. I'm in Tuscumbia right now off of Highway 72, and let me just tell you guys, it is cold. The snow is still trickling down, but it is definitely not as thick as we saw when we first got out here around 3 o'clock this morning. And I'll say it once and I'll say it again, just because I'm from Michigan does not mean that I can withstand these temperatures for this long. I have a ton of layers on, and I would recommend anybody at home, if you have to get out today, put a ton on and limit your time outdoors. Now let's talk a little bit about these roads. We've been hearing you guys talk about them all morning. I will say that the snow is coming down, but as Grace was mentioning, they are not sticking. The snow was not sticking to the roads. I did try to make a snowball earlier. It is sticky, but luckily, as soon as it hits the roads, it is just turning into a slick drive. I mean, when we were coming out here this morning, it was slick. I did speak to the Florence Lauderdale County EMA this morning, and they did say that they have been pre-treating these roads since midnight. They say luckily it has been working. They've been paying extra close attention to those hills, those overpasses, those bridges that have been giving them problems in the past where they've seen lots of accidents. They've been paying extra close attention, and they say that so far this morning in Tuscumbia and out in the Shoals area, they have not reported on any accidents, but we will stay on top of this for you. Just they want to let us to tell you that if you're taking some time getting out on the roads, give yourself a little bit more time because the roads are slick, and to make sure you have a little bit of space between you and the person in front of you. For now, reporting live in Tuscumbia with coverage you can count on. Paige Meyer, WAAY 31 News.
Hi, Paige, thank you. Jackson County emergency management leaders right now especially working to treat mountain roads to prevent people from getting stranded. But they remind drivers those mountain and rural county roads may still have slick spots, and they're also on the lookout for possible power outages and people with no warm place to go.
We're working with some of our WAAY members to have warming centers on standby if they're needed. So far, we haven't had any requests for any. So we'll continue to monitor that situation, and as those needs arise, we'll move resources around to make sure that everybody's taken care of.
Management leaders, I mean to say, across North Alabama and southern Tennessee, they're all saying the same thing this morning. If you don't have to get out on these roads, please do stay home. And we are already seeing a large number of accidents happening on these roads across North Alabama. So I am singing that even louder. Stay home if you can right now.
Check in right now with what we're seeing all across the Deep South. Seeing this snow sort of come to an end in the Shoals, as we just heard from WAAY 31's Paige Meyer. Look at that rain snow line stretching from Tuscaloosa up to I-59 right here in the North Alabama corridor. We're going to continue to see a few pockets of that rain to our south and east near Gadsden, even stretching up towards Fort Payne. The heaviest of the snow coverage we're seeing right now is making its way from DeKalb County all the way into Blount County. In the Shoals, like we heard from Paige, just a few pockets of light snowfall there at 5:41 on your Wednesday. Our 31 alert day finally here, and it is with us in full force, I'll tell you that much. I have this in effect through 10 o'clock this morning. Now, I could expire this closer to 8 o'clock in the morning when all the snow is gone. However, I'm leaving those extra 2 hours to look at those road conditions. Most of us, again, seeing that snow, those 1 or 2 pockets of rain developing in our far south and east counties. Take a look at the WAAY 31 Skycam network, powered by Thompson Roofing and Construction. Same story in Decatur, in the Rocket City, as well as even in Muscle Shoals. We're seeing accumulation of snow on the grass. We're not seeing a whole lot of it on the roads. There, it's just slippery, slick, and wet conditions. A winter weather advisory remains in place, no different from that 31 alert day, just reiterating the same thing. 1 to 2 inches expected in southern Tennessee and the Shoals. That's about what they've seen now that their snow is ending. Up to 1.5 inches for the rest of us. Again, about what we're seeing. We're going to continue to see those slick and slippery roads with little road accumulation, but those cold temperatures are a beast, even more so tomorrow than today, when I'm tracking a feels like temperature of 3 degrees coming up.
Best Way traffic map, there are a lot of crashes to tell you about. In fact, I'm trying right now to get a firm count. Ones I can just talk about right off the top of my head quickly. Hudson Memorial Bridge in Decatur northbound. That one actually is clear, we're happy to say, because that was causing quite a traffic tie-up. So glad that one's clear. Madison County, I-565 east at Highway 20. There's a crash there, be careful. Lawrence County, Highway 101 south at County Road 411. Also a crash there, be careful. We are working to keep an eye on other crashes as well.
This morning, only on WAAY 31, we're trying to answer the question, does the word woke now mean the opposite of white supremacy?
So WAAY 31's Nicole Williams talked to a famous author who says he's done the math starting in Alabama, and he thinks so.
Sometimes staying on top in the war on woke seemingly only requires a master wordsmith leading the battle.
I think it's like a lot of words that get co-opted, and sometimes they get co-opted in a good way. I mean, like a word like, say, gay, for instance, it got co-opted in a good way by people who wanted to change the meaning of what it meant to be homosexual in this country. And sometimes it gets co-opted in a bad way.
As the fight over ownership of the modern meaning, if you will, of this four-letter word rages on, author Michael Harriot in this podcast for The Griot says he's figured it out.
Woke is just the opposite of white supremacy.
He says this revelation stems from a meeting for Alabama State Board of Education's approval of books for students. There, one critic said she thought the material had too much Black history, according to this article by the Alabama Reflector. Black history lessons only make up an estimated 8 or 9% of total class time in Alabama. That's based on research by the National Council of Social Studies.
To fight to maintain that status quo, to keep that system, is an act of white supremacy, because you believe that your history, your culture, should be preserved and should be perpetuated over or at the expense of the education of other students.
I asked the Alabama State Department of Education to break down how much students are being taught about Black history and the time spent on those lessons. A spokesperson says, overall, the new course of study represents a large and very positive expansion of Black history and K-12 classroom curriculum, but says we should also keep in mind that local school systems develop and have the opportunity to choose their own curriculum and pacing in teaching Black history for their local classrooms.
When they say that these textbooks are woke, that means it's just not white supremacists anymore.
Morgan McMichael, contributor with Turning Point USA, a nonprofit that advocates for conservative politics on high school, college, and university campuses, says she couldn't disagree more with Harriet's thoughts about people holding this and similar positions.
I mean, I think it's completely absurd to say that all of a sudden, if you're pro-merit-based, you're anti-DEI-based systems and don't want forced equity, that all of a sudden you're a white supremacist in this country. You know, I think the narrative that conservatives are all white supremacists because they don't want transgenderism for minors and they don't want to see DEI-based programs. We want to move towards American traditionalism that is promoting a merit-based society. Is white supremacy is over. You know, I've seen many people accuse conservatives of being white supremacists on this ground, and I think it is bogus and honestly outlandish.
With coverage you can count on, Nicole Williams, WAAY 31 News.
Very quickly, let's get you a look at 31 triple Doppler. 5:50 on your Wednesday, seeing some scattered rain towards I-59 and south towards Gadsden, where we're seeing a bit of a warm sector. Starting to see some freezing rain in southern Winston County and southern Coleman. The heaviest of that snowfall right now stretching from Fort Payne into Blount County. Lighter snowfall just west of it, and talking about pretty much clear conditions over in the Shoals in southern Tennessee. Today, of course, is the 31 alert day. Because of all of this snow, we're also talking about a caution day tomorrow ahead of some absolutely dangerously cold conditions. Take a look at future radar. This line continues to track east rather quickly. We'll see some pockets of very light snowfall remain in the Shoals, but by 6 o'clock, the Shoals is mainly done with active precipitation. Pockets of it do still remain east of the corridor, with that rain snow line stretching into our southern counties, bringing a mix of rain and freezing rain. Snow totals are holding so far based on what we've seen in southern Tennessee and the Shoals, up to 2.5 inches, up to 1.5 anywhere from Franklin County to Madison, even into portions of Jackson, and then fairly negligible amounts south and east of there. Now here's the thing, we were quite warm yesterday. That means our roads are retaining a level of that moisture, and they were also pre-treated, and I cannot emphasize what a big difference that is making. As a result, we're seeing very slick roads, in fact quite similar to what we had about a week and a half ago with those 2 straight days of excessive rain. That's how your roads are looking looking. We're talking about snow accumulation on the grass, on cars, and on the roofs of buildings. What's a bigger story once we get done with this snow, and what's more impactful perhaps, is that cold weather. Right now feeling like 11 in Lawrenceburg, Tennessee, 22 in Huntsville, and waking up feeling like 20 in Haleyville. As we head into this afternoon, we're barely warming, feeling like 25 as we head into the afternoon today. Cloud cover sticking around and remaining well below freezing. If you think that's a tough one, just wait until tomorrow. A cold weather advisory is in place for all of us from midnight tonight into 12 o'clock on Thursday afternoon, ahead of a feels like temperature, and I cannot stress this enough, of 3 degrees at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, 6 degrees at 9 a.m., and not feeling above freezing all day. At our warmest, we're feeling like 17 and 18 degrees tomorrow. That is dangerous cold. That's when we're talking about frostbite. That's when we're talking about doing everything you can to take your cold weather precautions and keep you and your family safe.
And now, your best way traffic. Brought to you by Bama Estate Planning from Harlan D. Mitchell Attorney.
All right, we got a lot to talk about and not a lot of time. We are going to go over some of the wrecks right now that we are seeing. This is over at 565 East. It's over at exit 9 Wall Triana Highway. That's causing a backup. Plus these other two on Alabama 101. Both of them are on there. They're southbound. And this one right here especially, we just heard that there are icing conditions reported on the bridge. Crews are working to clear out that area. So make sure you just stay safe as you're out on the roads. And stay with us. We'll be right back.
I'm tracking a whole lot of snow in the Tennessee Valley, how much you can expect, exactly when, and what it's going to do to your morning commute. That and more coming up.
We're live here in the Shoals where the snow has pretty much stopped falling. We're going to give you an update on the road conditions coming up.
that's Toyota Field. Look at that, how the snow is falling out there. We're so glad to have you with us for WAAY 31 News Mornings on this Wednesday. It is February 19th.
Coverage you can count on. This is WAAY 31 News Mornings.
We are so glad to have you with us for WAAY 31 News Mornings on this cold and snowy Wednesday. It is February 19th. I'm Chris Tatum.
And I'm Demetria Green, and it is a 31 alert day. It's because of all of the snow that's currently falling. Although the snow started around midnight in the Shoals, it has tapered off since, but it is still making its way across the Tennessee Valley.
We have all hands on deck, though, this morning tracking this winter weather with team coverage. So WAAY 31's Maddie McCaffrey in the Shoals right now. Julia Miller keeping an eye on things here in Huntsville from our WAAY 31 storm tracker. First, though, we want to check in with morning meteorologist Grace Anello. Grace, it looks like things are starting to clear up a little bit in the Shoals, but that storm system still in our area.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So this is about a 5-6 hour system, 5-hour system. And so we're already starting to see some of it sort of get out of the way in the Shoals. It started there at midnight, now at 6:01, not so much in our neck of the woods. When we first came on air at 4:30 this morning, this rain snow line was south of Tuscaloosa. Now it's butting right up into our counties in the direct Tennessee Valley. Not seeing a whole lot in southern Tennessee in the Shoals. That continues. Seeing just rain south of Gadsden, a little bit of that freezing rain rain in southern Winston County as well as southern Coleman. Lighter snow flurries stretching from High Top in Jackson County down to Coleman. Slightly heavier snow amounts through Blount County and then over into DeKalb. All of this as the day we've been waiting for is officially here. Our 31 alert day is in effect. I have this in place through 10 o'clock this morning. I could expire it at about 7:38 once we say goodbye to all the snow. I've left those extra 2 hours in to account for any what could be slick or dangerous road conditions. Again, most of us seeing that snow, but a wintry mix very far to our south. Take a look at the WAAY 31 Skycam network powered by Thompson Roofing and Construction. Houses covered in snow. You can see the flurries, but whether it's Decatur, Muscle Shoals, or Huntsville, the roads are responding fairly well. The slick conditions we had about a week and a half ago from those torrential days of rain, that's what we're looking at. The snow is accumulating on the grass, not as much on the road. Holding true to that forecast, 2 to 2.5 inches for most of us in southern Tennessee and the Shoals. Cherokee a bit of an outlier at just over 3. The rest of us seeing that inch to inch and a half and negligible amounts far to our south and east. So holding pretty solid to that forecast. Even this light snow that we're seeing gets out of the way by about 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. More rain continues near the I-59 corridor before all is said and done. I'm back in just a couple minutes because we need to talk about exactly what this is going to do to the roads and how much more snow you can expect. We'll talk about all of it as well as the cold weather advisory coming down the pipeline coming up next.
Let's talk about your best way traffic on this Wednesday morning. Right now, a lot of crashes to talk about. Madison County, I-565 East Wall Triana exit, there's a crash. Also, Lauderdale County crash on Highway 101 and County Road 584. Lawrence County, Highway 101 South and County Road 411. There's a crash there. And want to remind you also in Huntsville, a couple of road closure. Bankhead Parkway closed, a stretch of it. Lauderdale County emergency management leaders say Elk River Bridge and Wheeler Dam are now becoming icy. So a lot to think about if you must get on those roads. If you don't have to, please stay home.
Well, several school systems across North Alabama as well as southern Tennessee are either closed or opening late today because of the snow.
And some schools are even offering virtual learning as an option. We do have that full list of those closures and late openings on our website, waaytv.com. We have also, by the way, listed those schools that are offering virtual classes today.
The roads are expected to be a bit safer this morning because the Alabama Department of Transportation spent the day preparing for the snow as crews were pre-treating those roads yesterday. Now they hit major areas like highways, bridges, even overpasses, as we know that some areas are expected to see more snow than others.
There may be some areas particularly closer to the Tennessee line where we're going to see higher snowfall totals and there may be some plowing going on there, but largely we think it's probably going to be, treating trouble spots.
They will also monitor the roads for black ice as those temperatures fall.
People in northwest Alabama by now probably have the most snow on the ground. That's where it started earlier this morning, of course.
So let's check back in with WAAY 31's Maddie McCaffrey. Maddie, it looks like it stopped snowing near you. You're out in Tuscumbia. So what else do you see going on in that area right now?
Yes, hey y'all, so we're here in Tuscumbia right off of Highway 72, and as you mentioned, the snow has finally stopped. It was moving steadily, it was falling steadily all morning long, but it's come to a complete stop now, and on the ground, on the grass, it accumulated about 1 to 2 inches, and luckily it did not accumulate on the roads, so the roads right now are just soaking wet. They're a little bit slick, so you've got to be careful driving on them. Take a look at some of the video we shot earlier this morning. The snow was completely just covering the cars here at the Love's truck stop all over the place. It was just piling up. And I will say it is freezing cold outside. It is just frigid. If you go outside, you got to stay bundled up. I'm in a couple of layers and I feel like I need a third layer right now. It is that cold. Now we spoke with Florence Lauderdale County EMA and they told us that they pre-treated the roads last night and that it's working out pretty well. They say, this just in from them, they say that there's icing conditions reported at both Elk River Bridge and Wheeler Dam. So state crews, they've been notified and they're en route right now. So if you do have to take those roads, you got to be super, super careful on them. They are going to be very slippery. And basically, officials say that the biggest thing you can do right now is to drive just as slow as possible, be very safe on the roads, make sure you're not following too closely. Reporting live in Tuscumbia with coverage you can count on, Maddie McCaffrey, WAAY 31 News.
All right, good advice right there. Thank you, Maddie. Well, today's snow is bringing with it some bitter cold temperatures that will last a few days.
And that has first responders reminding everybody frostbite is a big concern. So they say frostbite can happen quickly, especially with fingers and toes. And they say if you feel any numbness in your fingers or toes, or if they start to change color, get inside quickly. Well, several Huntsville agencies are right now offering warming centers to people to make sure they have a warm place to ride out this bitter cold. You can see that list of warming centers and the addresses for them on your screen right now. That information also on our website in case you need to go there and check it out. Huntsville Transit and Huntsville Police, by the way, stand ready to offer free rides to people who need them to these warming centers.
And keeping things in the metro, we actually are going to go back to our WAAY 31 storm tracker with an update on the roads.
So good morning, Julia Miller. What are you looking out there right now? Is it still snowing in our area?
Good morning, guys. We are headed to Cecil Ashburn, and actually I'll show you what we're seeing, but it's looking more like rain now. This is from the back of our storm tracker vehicle, and you can see not much coming down anymore. Roads are still slick and wet, but as far as snow, it looks like it's mostly turned to rain. And just a bit ago on 565 East, we drove by a vehicle wreck into the guardrail. We're not sure if it was from road conditions, but be careful and drive slowly is the big message right now. People are still driving, and we think the amount of traffic has actually helped the situation, keeping the roads from accumulating too much snow. But still, we really ask that if anybody is out on the roads, just take it slow and be cautious of the conditions.
Well, Julia, I don't know if you heard it, but we were talking about several roads being closed. We know about dangerous areas, especially Bankhead Parkway. But Cecil Ashburn, that's one of my biggest fears and biggest concerns in events like this.
It's usually one of the big offenders when it comes to roads closing because of those conditions. Are those conditions seeming maybe different than what you've seen on other roads you've been out on this morning?
Yeah, absolutely, and I'll give you a look again. You can see here, actually, it's looking like there is really not much even to the, wetness of the road. It's still a little. As far as what we've seen, just all around today, things are looking really, really good. And like I said, I feel like it has to do with the fact of how much traffic we've seen out on the roads and people out here. I think it's actually helping the situation. But we are doing, actually, as you can see now, it's coming down a little bit more. Now turn into a light rain, heavier fall. But yeah, we've seen better conditions. But yeah, this is just be careful.
That's all you can do.
Good advice indeed.
All right, thank you so much.
All right, let's get a check of 31 triple Doppler. We're seeing snow in our region. That rain snow line has moved a little farther north. It was closer to Birmingham and Tuscaloosa this morning. Seeing some of that rain towards the I-59 corridor, seeing some freezing rain just west of I-65 there in Winston, as well as in Coleman counties. If we can take that lower third down, I think they'll be able to see a little bit better. That rain sitting near I-59, there's that freezing rain to your south and west. Julia was just talking about it. It is still snow, but it's much lighter coverage in the Rocket City. That's good news. Some heavier of that snow is sitting into DeKalb County. Our 31 alert day in effect now, cruising through this system that we've been talking about for days at this point. Most of us still seeing that light snow, that wintry mix, very, very far to our south. Keeping this in effect through 10 o'clock this morning. The snow will be done by about 8, but leaving it till 10 just for those road conditions. Speaking of, take a look. Seeing a whole lot of that haze over Gunnersville. Houses covered in snow in Muscle Shoals where they saw the most of it, but roadways not looking terrible, as Julia stated. Very slick, but we're keeping warmth from the last couple of days. That's keeping the road a lot warmer on the asphalt. We're seeing some of that accumulation on grass, not as much on the roads. We're left with a very slick and slippery situation rather than the buildup of snow. A winter weather advisory is in place for the rest of this morning. No different from that 31 alert day, but reiterating it. Heaviest snowfall coming in at Cherokee right now, just about 3 inches. The rest of you in the Shoals 2 to 2.5 as forecasted. Talking about an inch already in Huntsville, down to just 0.2 of an inch of snow in Arab. So those roadways not looking too bad as a result of that. The cold temperatures, those are a beast and they're getting worse. We need to talk about that so that you can plan ahead for dangerous cold overnight tonight and tomorrow.
Let's take a look at your best way traffic map on this Wednesday morning. Right now, we have been following, keeping an eye on several crashes. Right now, there is an accident on I-565. This one at Wall-Triana Highway. You want to be careful if you're traveling in that area. It looks like it's already starting to cause a backup there. Also, let's look at a couple of crashes. One of them is, of course, Highway 101. That one, I believe, is in Lawrence County. That one's at County Road 411. Actually, that was actually at County Road 584. And I stand corrected, that one's in Lauderdale County. The other one there on your screen, 101 and 411, that one is right now in Lawrence County. But in either case, do be careful on those roads this morning. And we have another one to tell you about. This is Highway 73 at the intersection with Highway 71. That was causing some traffic backups we can see there too. So be careful. It is slicker than it looks like on those roads. We'll be right back.
In this morning's GMA First Look, Naya Rivera's former husband speaking out nearly 5 years after her tragic drowning.
We only said goodbye.
Naya Rivera was a massive presence on the hit Glee, a triple threat dancer, actor, and singer. And for her ex and the son they shared, the vacuum Rivera left behind 5 years after her mysterious drowning is just as massive.
What made you decide to talk about this now?
I had a friend who told me she thought I should write a book. And I said, what am I going to write a book about? And she's like, no, I think it could help people like with bereavement or like dealing with loss.
And coming up at 7 a.m., Dorsey sharing about the moment he learned Rivera disappeared and how their son is doing now. With your GMA First Look, I'm Matt Gutman, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Sonia, Erlene, and Marcia are among the thousands of real women living with metastatic breast cancer doing what they love and taking Ibrance. Ibrance, with an aromatase inhibitor, is for adults with HR-positive, HER2-negative metastatic breast cancer as the first hormonal-based therapy. Ibrance plus letrozole significantly delayed disease progression versus letrozole alone. Ibrance may cause low white blood cell counts that may lead to serious infections. Ibrance may cause severe inflammation of the lungs. Both of these can lead to death. Tell your doctor if you have new or worsening chest pain, cough, or trouble breathing. Before taking Ibrance, tell your doctor if you have fever, chills, or other signs of infection, liver or kidney problems, are nursing, pregnant, or plan to be, all medical conditions you have, and about all the medicines you take. For more information about side effects, talk to your doctor. These are real women taking Ibrance. Ask your doctor about Ibrance.
6:16 right now on this Wednesday morning. Jackson County emergency management leaders especially working to treat mountain roads to prevent people who live in those areas from getting stranded. But they do remind all drivers those mountain roads and those rural county roads may still have slick spots. Stay home if you can. They're also on the lookout right now for possible power outages and people with no warm place to go.
We're working with some of our WAAY members to have warming centers on standby if they're needed. So far, we haven't had any requests for any, so we'll continue to monitor that situation. And as those needs arise, we'll move resources around to make sure that everybody's taken care of.
We are already seeing a lot of crashes across North Alabama on a lot of different roads. So I'm going to echo the sentiment we're hearing from emergency management leaders across North Alabama and southern Tennessee. Again, if you don't have to leave the house this morning, please don't. Snow event expected to last all morning. Of course, after that, we are going to have some incredibly bitter cold temperatures sticking with us for the next several days. Stay on top of all of this by downloading our WAAY 31 Storm Tracker weather app. That QR code on your screen will help you download it quickly. By the way, that app is good for Apple and Android devices. I love the fact that it's free.
6:17, and let's take a look at 31 triple Doppler. We're seeing some snow in the Tennessee Valley, namely east of I-65. West of the corridor, you've pretty much said goodbye to that snow coverage. Talking about freezing rain and just plain old rain to our south and along I-59 as you hang on to a little bit of extra warmth. The rest of us seeing some lighter snow showers. Of course, this morning is a 31 alert morning. We're seeing that snow as we speak. We've got, I wouldn't call them dangerous roads. I would call them dangerous adjacent. If you drive very carefully, you're good to drive, but you can't go out thinking it's just a normal morning. Once we get to tomorrow, well, we're talking about dangerous, and I mean dangerous cold weather. We're continuing to see this light snow track east. We'll see more and more of those pockets of rain develop in our southern counties as we ever so slightly warm after sunrise. By about 7:30 in the morning and 8 o'clock, we're pretty much done with snow for the day. What have we seen so far? Well, Cherokee saw the most. You're an outlier at just over 3 inches. The rest of southern Tennessee and the Shoals held true to that 2, 2.5, and 3 inch range that we were forecasting for you. In Huntsville, just under 1.5 inches, 2 inches in Hazel Green, 1 inch of snow in Moulton, just under 2 in Phil Campbell, and then talking about just over 1/2 inch in Fort Payne, even less in Albertville. So looking pretty consistent to what we have been telling you the last couple of days, not especially treacherous. Worth taking the extra time this morning, worth driving carefully for the road impacts that are there, but far from an Armageddon situation. What's actually going to be more impactful for you is going to be the cold weather and the wind. We're very cold now. We're very windy. We're going to be so much colder and so much windier tomorrow. Feeling like 11 right this second in Lawrenceburg, Tennessee. Feeling like 25 in Huntsville, 20 in Muscle Shoals, and 28 in Gunnersville. At our warmest, we're going back to the mid-20s. We're still in the process of cooling right now, and then we're going to continue to stay cold as we have this front move through, really cool down our temperatures late morning. By this afternoon, we're feeling like the middle 20s, keeping cloud cover. It's going to be unbearable. Now, I really want to be serious with you about this. Tomorrow is dangerous cold, and it starts overnight tonight. We actually have a cold weather advisory in place that lasts until noon tomorrow. When you wake up on Thursday, it is feeling like 3 degrees, gusty, and treacherous wind. Feeling like 6 at 9 a.m. It's 11 o'clock in the morning before we even get into the double digits, and at no point of the day are we out of the teens. It is going to be so cold tomorrow. If you can work from home, I say go for it. If you got to be out and about, every pair of gloves, every hat, all of the scarves. Frostbite in this weather with this level of wind can happen in a matter of minutes. So it's something you gotta take seriously. I'm not one to overhype. I don't usually harp on temperatures for you because I know we know them, but tomorrow is dangerous. Talking about a mix of clouds and sun, and that is good news. Bitter cold again Friday morning, slightly more mild Friday afternoon. This weekend, similar story. Quite cold in the morning, but a little more pleasant in the afternoon. And next week, in typical Alabama fashion, we're feeling like spring with high temperatures Tuesday and Wednesday of 70 degrees.
And now, your best WAAY traffic. Brought to you by Bama Estate Planning from Harlan D. Mitchell Attorney.
Well, it is just a mess out there right now on some of these roads with these wrecks. We're going to get to the first one over on 565 West. That's right on the Parkway at exit 9. We are starting to see that there is a backup that's coming from that wreck. We're going to quickly get over to the next one that is also on 565. This is eastbound at Wall Triana. We're looking at the other two of them in Lauderdale County on Alabama 101 at County Road 584. But the main thing, you've been hearing it, we've been telling you all morning long, make sure you take it slow. If you don't need to be on the roads, don't get out there. We do know that HPD did close down Bankhead Parkway from Tollgate Road to Fern Street, as well as some icing conditions on Elk River Bridge and Wheeler Dam. So please take it easy out there. And make sure you stay with us. We'll be right back after the break. The time is now 6:25, and we are taking time for everyone's favorite segment, Wag Your Tail Wednesday.
So we're going to talk about some farm animals right now, and I mean they are adorable. Oh, look. This is Tilly and Spot's gorgeous little goats there. They are from Hatton, Alabama. No surprise, they spend their time wandering the field and eating.
And next up is Mary Ann. She's actually the longest in-house resident with Huntsville Animal Services, and she really needs a forever home. So Mary Ann is not the most energetic dog, but she loves to lounge around. So if you would love to add her to your house, all you have to do is reach out to Huntsville Animal Services.
Tracking snow in a wintry mix in the Tennessee Valley, where it goes from here, exactly how much more snow you can expect, how it's going to impact your commute, and then the dangerous cold I'm tracking tomorrow. We'll talk all about it coming up.
Coverage you can count on. This is WAAY 31 News Mornings.
Good morning, I'm WAAY 31 morning meteorologist Grace Anello. Today's a 31 alert day. I'm tracking snow and a wintry mix as we speak. What you need to know before you hit the road coming up.
And we're monitoring the road conditions for you across North Alabama right now. We've got live reports from the Shoals, Huntsville, and beyond.
Plus, we're keeping you safe with the known signs of frostbite. So thank you for joining us this morning. It is Wednesday, February 19th. I'm Demetria Green.
And I'm Chris Tatum. It is a 31 alert day, as you can see there behind me, all that snow and some frigid cold temperatures to follow. So right now, all of this started around midnight, started in the Shoals, still making its way, though, across parts of the Tennessee Valley as we speak.
And we have our hands all on deck as WAAY 31 continues to track this winter storm with team coverage. As WAAY 31's Paige Myers is in the Shoals, Julia Miller is keeping an eye on things here in Huntsville. But first, we're going to check in with Grace, because Grace, I know the snow is starting to taper off in the Shoals, but we're still seeing a lot of stuff here.
That's right. So this is about a 6-hour system, Demetria. Started in the Shoals at midnight, lasted until about 6 o'clock in the morning, now tapering off gradually as it heads east. Seeing a ton of rain to our south. That rain snow line when we first came in this morning around 2:30 was right around Tuscaloosa, Birmingham. Now it's sitting at the very edge of our southern Tennessee Valley communities and counties. So seeing that mix of freezing rain and rain to our south and along I-59. The rest of us seeing some patchy and light snowfall at 6:31. On your Wednesday morning. Our 31 alert day, the one we've been talking about for about 4 or 5 days now, well underway and in fact close to nearing its end. We have this in effect through 10 o'clock this morning. I could cancel it by about 7:38, but I'm leaving that extra pad to account for road conditions. Take a look at what we are seeing outside on the WAAY 31 Skycam network powered by Thompson Roofing and Construction. Plenty of accumulation on tops of roofs and cars and grass, not quite as much on the roads. We maintained pretty significant moisture on warm roads from yesterday. They were also pre-treated. It cannot be overstated what a difference that makes. We're seeing very slick conditions. Pockets of black ice will develop, but we're not talking about widespread snow accumulation on the roads. What we saw is the highest, kind of a bit of an outlier, just over 3 inches of snow in Cherokee. The rest of the Shoals, that 2 to 2.5 inches as forecasted. Just under 1.5 inches of snow so far in Huntsville, under 1 in Hartselle, and then 0.3 of an inch in Albertville right now. We're saying goodbye to this snow. Pockets of rain will continue in the south, and by 7:30, we're done with snow in the Tennessee Valley. More on the dangerous cold I am tracking tomorrow, and when we'll feel like 3 degrees.
Let's look at your best way traffic map right now. I'm going to start your traffic with a warning. If you can stay home, please do, because clearly those roads, while they may not look slick, there are slick spots on them. Memorial Parkway, much of it at a standstill right now. 4 crashes to tell you about. I-565 west at Memorial Parkway, and not far away, I-565 and Highway 72. 2 separate crashes close together, closing down traffic moving in that area. Also, I-565 east at Wall Triana. That is exit 9. A mile away, exit 10. Madison Boulevard, another crash on I-565. And then in Lauderdale County on Highway 101, there was a crash at County Road 584, but not far away in Lawrence County. Also on Highway 101, there was a crash at the intersection with County Road 411. Slick spots out there. Don't take it for granted. Be careful and stay home if you can.
And we do know that several school systems across North Alabama, as well as southern Tennessee, either closed or opening late today, and it's all because of the snow.
Also, some schools offering virtual learning options today. So we do have that full list of those closures and late openings on our website, WAAYTV.com, and there you'll also find the list of schools offering virtual classes today.
The roads are expected to be a little bit safer this morning after the Alabama Department of Transportation spent the day prepping for this. As crews pre-treated some of the roads, they hit the highways, bridges, and overpasses, as we do know that some areas are seeing more snow than others.
There may be some areas, particularly closer to the Tennessee line, where we're going to see higher snowfall totals, and there may be some plowing going on there, but largely we think it's probably going to be, treating trouble spots.
They are also monitoring the roads for black ice as the temperatures start to fall. And there is a steady snowfall that's happening right now in Huntsville.
And WAAY 31's Julia Miller joins us live from our WAAY 31 storm tracker, keeping an eye on those road conditions for you. So, Julia, what are you seeing out there right now?
We're back on 565, and I really want to quickly give you a look at the traffic that we're seeing. So this is on our left-hand side over there. We're getting a lot of people coming in, possibly from the crashes that are further down the road. But if you take a good look, we're just getting a lighter snowfall here, not as dramatic as it once was. But we've done a good bit of driving today. Most recently, we were on Cecil Ashburn, then we were back on Governors, and now we're back on 565. And there hasn't been a lot of trouble spots for us. We haven't really had a hard time driving. Most of it is just the wet road conditions. But we really do believe the pre-treating helped majorly get these roads back in the way they are now. But I'll give you a look at that. Look at how beautiful that snowfall is, just on the grass, covering everything. It is so pretty out here, but these roads are a little bit, oh, we've got a crash right there. Got some police action. Okay. Well, just be careful out here, guys. It is still wet roads, and you can just see how many cars are out here on the road. So please take it slow. Be careful. We do not want to see any more crashes on the road. We will keep monitoring these conditions for you.
All right, thank you so much, Julia. And that's one of the many crashes that we are seeing all across the area this morning.
I can't say it enough. If you don't have to be out, don't get out.
Don't drive. And I do say that there are fewer drivers that are out there on the roads this morning. Well, today's snow bringing with it some bitter cold temperatures that will last a few days.
And that has first responders reminding everybody, beware of frostbite. So they say frostbite can happen quickly to your fingers and your toes. And they say if you feel numbness in those fingers or toes, or if they start to change color, get inside quickly. Several Huntsville agencies are opening warming centers right now to make sure everybody has a warm place to ride out all this frigid cold. So you can see that list of warming centers and their addresses right there on your TV screen. We've got that list posted on our website too if you need to look at it a little bit later. But by the way, Huntsville Transit and Huntsville Police, they stand ready to give free rides to people who need them to those warming centers. They are for everybody, not just the homeless. They are for everybody. If you need to stay warm and you don't have a warm place, go to one of these. People in Northwest Alabama, of course, are the first to have seen this snow that's fallen this morning. They have a good bit on the ground.
Oh, yes, they do. So let's go ahead and check in with WAAY 31's Paige Meyer, who is live in Tuscumbia. Paige.
Good morning, Kristen and Demetria. Yes, I'm in Tuscumbia off of Highway 72 at the Love's traffic stop. And let me just tell you, it is cold out here. Now, the snow, as you can see, has not been coming down any longer. It was coming down steadily from the moment we started driving at 2 a.m. until about 4 or 5 o'clock this morning. But right now, all that we're really worried about is the wind. It is cold. I have several layers on and I'm still cold. As you can tell, we're shivering out here. And if you're planning on heading out the door today, if you think you have enough layers on, I would add 2 more. Well, as far as the roads, I'll take a step out so you can see them. The snow came down this morning, but as you can see, it accumulated on the grass, but not so much on the roads. Now, I will say the snow was steadily coming down, but making the roads, I would say, a little bit more slick. The snow was coming down, so I would just be concerned about how slick they are. As far as the people that we've been seeing driving out here, we haven't seen any accidents. Florence Lauderdale County EMA says that they have not gotten any as of right now. So if you're heading out on the roads, take it nice and easy, as we've been telling you all morning, and just give yourself and the car in front of you a little bit extra space. Reporting live in Tuscumbia with coverage you can count on. Paige Meyer, WAAY 31 News.
All right, thank you, Paige. And Jackson County emergency management leaders are working to treat mountain roads. They're trying to prevent people from getting stranded. However, they are reminding those drivers that mountain and rural county roads may still have a few slick spots. They're also on the lookout for possible power outages and people without a warm place to go.
We're working with some of our WAAY members to have warming centers on standby if they're needed. So far, we haven't had any requests for any. So we'll continue to monitor that situation. And as those needs arise, we'll move resources around to make sure that everybody's taken care of.
Emergency management leaders across North Alabama as well as Southern Tennessee, they say if you don't have to get on the roads, then stay home.
6:39 on your Wednesday, and most of the coverage we're seeing at this point is east of I-65. Today's a 31 alert day. I'm tracking a little bit of snow left over in Franklin County, over in our western counties. However, east of the corridor, that's where we're seeing the brunt of it. Light snow for most of us, stretching from High Top in Jackson County all the way through Eva and towards Coleman, stretching into I-59. Our southern counties in the I-59 corridor seeing a bit of that rain, seeing a bit of that freezing rain with slightly warmer temperatures in store. Our 31 alert day will remain in effect through 10 o'clock this morning. Even after that snow is gone, I want to leave it there just in case you have to have some dangerous road conditions as you head out the door in the morning. I want everybody to stay mindful of that. Right now, what we're seeing on the roads, as we've heard from Maddie, from Julia, from Paige as well, and even from Jim, is slick roads. Are we talking about inches of snow accumulation on the roads like what we're seeing on the grass? Definitely not. But are they very slick? Absolutely. And we're staying cold all day, which opens up a possibility for black ice formation. We do have a winter weather advisory in place today, no different from that 31 alert day, stating the same thing, just reiterating it. We saw the most of the snow in the Shoals. Most of it was about 2.5 inches. Cherokee's a bit of an outlier at just over 3. 2 inches in Hazel Green, 1.5 inches in Huntsville, 0.6 of an inch in Eva, and the same in Fort Payne. We're getting close to being done with this snow, meaning the road conditions you're seeing now not going to be all too different an hour from now when we're done with the snow. The dangerously cold weather, that's going to be ours to keep today and particularly tomorrow. We got to talk more about that coming up.
It is clear there are some slick spots on I-565 this morning. So a quick recap of crashes we're keeping a close eye on. 565 west at Memorial Parkway, a crash. 565 and Highway 72, very close to the crash I just mentioned. Also another one there. Also 565 at Wall Triana, that's exit 9, there's a crash. Exit 10, 1 mile away at Madison Boulevard on I-565, a crash. And then one in Lauderdale County we've been monitoring for a while. This one on Highway 101 at County Road 584. These roads might fool you this morning, so do pay attention to your driving if you must be out. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Well, we don't get snow days often here in Alabama, but we have had a handful this year.
Too many, in my
Mine
opinion. But we did ask for pictures, and you all listened and sent them
Look at
in.
that.
So let's take a look at right now. Oh, look at that one. Look at little Snoopy out there in the snow.
He's saying, take me inside, I'm cold.
And look at that vehicle almost completely covered with all of the snow.
Oh, look at this little critter out there trying to enjoy the snow as well. That's some pretty thick looking snow right there. It
but,
looks
you
probably
know,
thicker than it is.
But it makes it look very, very pretty. If you don't have to get out in it and you're just sitting at home watching this, that looks nice.
May I just say, by the way, we talk about people getting snow days. We never get them. When it snows, we're in here telling you about it. So
Exactly. Now, if you happen to see a view and you said, oh, this is wonderful, I would love for them to put it on TV, all you have to do is just take a picture and send it to us at WAAYTV.com.
Now, WAAY 31 Storm Tracker meteorologist Grace Anello with 31 triple Doppler.
Oh, it's been a busy few days for Grace.
and this is not the last of it, because even when the snow melts, bitter cold.
Dangerous, absolutely dangerous cold tomorrow. Today we got to deal with the snow first, though. It's quite frigid today, but it almost had a viewer comment and say today's weather feels like a heat wave compared to what we're having tomorrow. And in fact, that's quite true. 6:47 on your Wednesday, 31 triple Doppler showing that snow. Now in the Shoals and west of the corridor, we're pretty much dry from any of that wintry precip. Seeing that snow stretch from High Top in Jackson County all the way down to Coleman into Blunt, as well as just to our south and east. Also seeing a little bit of that wintry mix, some rain in our far southern counties where you're hanging on to some slightly warmer weather, a little bit of freezing rain there as well. Today is a 31 alert day. At this point, it's almost over, at least the brunt of it is. Tomorrow, though, dangerous, truly dangerous cold. I'm not one to overhype. I wouldn't use that word if it isn't true. It's going to be unbelievable. We have to talk more about that. By Friday, still in fact quite cold, but not quite what we're going to be seeing tomorrow. 6:30 on your Wednesday, this line is continuing to track east. By 7:30 in the morning, we're pretty much done with precipitation, whether that be snow or that mix. 2.5 inches in Florence this morning. Similar story near near Rustaville, about just under 2 inches in Phil Campbell. 1.5 inches of snow in the Rocket City, just over 1 in Lacey's Spring, 0.3 inches in Albertville, just under 1.5 inches in Long Island. So we've seen that snow accumulation, to be honest with you, not to pat ourselves on the back, but fairly similar to what we forecasted. So that's good. You should have a good idea of what's happening out there. It has held true to forecast. What we're seeing is slippery roads. We're not talking about a lot of road accumulation with the snow on the grass, cars, and roofs. That's a different story, but the roads have maintained some of their warmth. From yesterday, what we're seeing is wet spots. All those 2 days of rain we had, that 48 hours straight of torrential downpours about a week and a half ago, pretty similar to what we're having right now. What we now think about is the refreeze factor, is the black ice factor. So even though you're not seeing inches of snow on the road, I want you to make sure you're staying safe out there, driving with extreme caution. The cold temperatures, those are a heavy hitter. Feeling like 11 this morning, 24 right now in Huntsville, warmer, feeling like 29 in Gunnersville. We will stay in the mid-20s all day long. That front is moving through as we speak along with this line. By later this afternoon, we're feeling like the mid-20s, still unbelievably cold and very windy. Tomorrow, it's a nightmare. We actually have a cold weather advisory in place from midnight through 12 p.m. on Thursday. We will wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning feeling like 3 degrees. By 9 a.m., it's still single digits. By 11 a.m., we're just barely into double digits. And despite the sunshine, at our warmest tomorrow, we are feeling like the mid and upper teens. I really need you to make sure you're staying safe. You got to drip your pipes. You got to make sure your pets are inside. You got to make sure you and your friends are staying safe. We've been talking all morning about the warming centers. As Chris and Dimitri has stated, those are for anyone who needs them. And if you need them, I would very much so encourage you to take advantage. With temperatures like that, frostbite is a matter of minutes away. By the time we get to Friday morning, again, bitter cold, a little bit better in the afternoon, maybe above freezing. We'll take it. By this weekend, a mix of clouds and sun, slightly more mild in the 50s. Next week, we're feeling like 70 Tuesday and Wednesday.
And now, your best WAAY traffic. Brought to you by Bama Estate Planning from Harlan D. Mitchell Attorney.
right, we are taking a look at several wrecks in the area. We're going to start off with those over in Madison County. We have a 565 westbound at exit 21. And then another at exit 19A. We did see one of these during the report that Julia Miller had. It is causing a backup, as you can see there as well. But we are continuing to monitor that. This is another one at US 72 eastbound, right over at Christian Lane. I'm not seeing a slowdown at this moment, but you just never know what can happen. Now, let's take a look. We already talked about those. Let's go to another one. Let's see any other wrecks. It looks like that's all that we have right now. Do keep in mind that the Huntsville police did close down Bankhead Parkway from Tollgate Road to Fern Street, and there are icing conditions over at Elk River Bridge and Wheeler Dam. You're looking at another wreck right there. That's Alabama 101. There's a crash at County Road 584. Look at that yellow and orange. That is just a big mess right now. So if you have to get out on the road, please make sure you take it slow and be safe. Well, the time is now 6:51.
And up next is your Week 31 Fast Cast. Those headlines you need to know as you head out the door on this snowy Wednesday.
Good morning. Coming up here on GMA, the record cold is gripping the middle of the country. Look at some of these numbers, not just this morning, but records could fall from Kansas City to Dallas and Baton Rouge through the rest of this week. Then it's the storm, the snow, the ice. I am following the latest, and we've got Alex Perez still in Louisville after all that flooding, now that they've got a little dusting of snow. Also this morning, Google searches for "is it safe to fly" are spiking. Investigators trying to determine what caused that Delta flight to flip over on the runway. We have a reality check on plane safety and concerns about flying with children. Plus, Daredevil is back. Charlie Cox is here live in Times Square. You don't want to miss it on GMA.
Welcome back. The time is now 6:55.
And time to get you ready to out the door with these top headlines of this Wednesday morning. I think everybody knows what the top headline is, of course. Well, first up,
31 alert day is in place today through 10 o'clock this morning. Most of us seeing just a little bit of snow this morning. We will be seeing some of that wintry mix to our south. By the time we get to about 7:30, that's out of our way. I've left our 31 alert day lasting a little bit longer than that to account for road conditions. Saw about 2.5 inches of snow over in the Shoals, 1.5 in Huntsville, and less than 1 to our south and east. Temperatures right now are bitter cold, feeling like the low 20s, mid 20s, and staying there all day long. We're going to struggle to see the sun today. Tomorrow is even colder. A cold weather advisory is in place, waking up feeling like 3 degrees. At our warmest tomorrow, feeling like the teens. You have got to bundle up. Frostbite, hypothermia, massive concerns in this area. So staying cold to close out this week, a little bit warmer this weekend, and as Alabama would have it, feeling like spring by the time we get to next week.
and we have several crashes to tell you about. Just a quick rundown. Highway 72 at Christian Lane, there is a crash there you need to be aware of. 565, a couple of crashes here. One of them at exit 27, that is Highway 72. The other is at Memorial Parkway. Do be aware of those. There's also a crash on 565 at the Town Madison exit and another at Wall Triana. Some of those crashes have been there for a while, so do be mindful. There are slowdowns. And Highway 101 in Lawrence County at County Road 584, a crash there that's also causing several slowdowns. Be careful.
Well, that's all the time that we have for now. Make sure you join us at 7:23 for a local news update.